Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And tonight I decided to go ahead and do the final meal from this Chef 5-Minute Meals 72-hour emergency meal kit. And because there are two of each entree, that's why, as I said in the previous two videos, and when I first received this, that I would only do 3 streams with it instead of 9, because others I would just be repeating myself. And the fact that some of the items you do not have enough for additional meals, like there's only 3 packets of the apple grape jelly blend. And I have just basically been storing all of the items inside of this Minotaur Hero Ration box, since the other box that all the original stuff for this ration is pretty flimsy. Just a way to keep it organized and keep everything together. And of course, since there are no drink options of any kind, I choose to add additional items. So for instance, I know I have been saving this in my camping food bag for a future camping trip, but I decided that I'm going to go ahead and have this Abuelita cocoa powder with cinnamon. So that's going to go into my foreignmre.com mug. And this is the orange breakfast drink that I got in that 12-hour hiker ration. That was a ration of the month for May of 2022 when Minotaur had those going. So I saved that orange drink, so I'm going to go ahead and have it tonight. That will go into the drinking jar. And then this is that orange dreamsicle. I'm going to do an experiment with this. See, the powder, even when you open up the gusset, it still goes up to here. Instead of making this into a drink, I'm actually going to attempt to turn this into a pudding by only using enough water to make it that thick. So that's going to be an experiment. So here is the beef chili with beans. Again, these are 9-ounce gusseted pouches, so these gussets make it really nice. So that will go into the pot on the stove. So I have the duplicates of all of these entrees. They're just hanging out in my ration box. So I pulled out one of the tortillas. I have 3 more of these remaining. And then the last 2 items, I'm just going to put this box to the side. I have the 3rd packet of the apple grape jelly blend. And then the Grand Canyon bar, which is like a granola bar on steroids. I'm going to go ahead and mix this first. I just have a plastic Walgreens bag off to the side to put my trash in. The powder reminds me of Tang. And I'm going strong on this. I'll give that another mix later. I originally found this cocoa mix at Walmart. I didn't look at the package right there when I picked it up. I just saw that it was a Mexican cocoa. I have the solid cocoa discs. But I wanted to try the cocoa drink mix, and when I did, I noticed that it had the hint of cinnamon, and when I looked at the ingredients later, I saw that it actually did have cinnamon in it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go put this into a pot in the kitchen, and then when I come back with the water for the cocoa, I'm going to bring back a bowl to mix this in, because as I said at the beginning, I'm going to turn this into a pudding. So anyway, I'll be right back. I just took the kettle back into the kitchen to get it out of the way. And I can smell the cinnamon wafting out of that cup. And when I mix it, we'll see who's here. See, there's Smitty, there's Mike, Spicy Tuna Rolls, Emphasis here. And so far, that is it. As far as those whose comments I can see, I do have it on live chat, so is anyone else here? But my view count only says 3, so someone must have dropped a like and then ran, or got booted out for whatever reason. But I definitely want to get some more of this Abuelita cocoa mix. If you've never tried cinnamon in hot cocoa, it's actually pretty good. There are coffee shops here in town. They may do this elsewhere, I'm pretty sure, but coffee shops here in town, especially the independent ones that are not necessarily part of a large multinational chain, will have cinnamon shakers on the tables where they keep the creamer, sugar, and artificial sweetener and all things like that, or tea bags. But there are people who like to put cinnamon in their coffee, and I have done that, and that's actually really good too. Or you could get the same effect by simply dropping a solid piece of a cinnamon stick in there. That is a Grand Canyon bar. That is my phone mount right there. A little grab handle that I grab a hold of when I want to either put my phone into the jaw or take it out. Yes, those Grand Canyon bars are very delicious. That is what I really like about this particular meal kit, is the fact that they included something that has a very, very good flavor, and it just tastes like your average quality granola bar. I'm giving this jelly a bit of a squish. Sounds like I'm popping a couple of small air bubbles. That'll take care of the tortilla. Then this is not original. This is just going to be an experiment. No doubt the flavor will be very concentrated in this, but again, I'm just having a little fun, trying a little experiment. This might have been even too much water, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm actually going to put that back there. Oops, accidentally hit the phone screen, hit the phone with my spork. And I just added a tiny bit more water to the drink. So that leaves just very little left in the bottle. Just enough for a tiny bit of a swig. So now that I got all that done, I'm going to go ahead and get the main, and I'll be right back. I am back. Got a paper towel to dry it off with. This label started to peel up, but that might have been just from me wiping it. But for the most part, they held up very well. Just put that back there. Very clean tear. I like it when that happens. Let's see what this chili looks like. The chili looks like any common chili. Ground beef was used. The beans are soft. A good amount of chili spice, but it's not extremely spicy. So not too bad. And not so spicy that the average person wouldn't enjoy it. But a little bit of grated cheese on top, or maybe a bit of cracker crumbs in here would be nice. To me, this is a step above the USMRE chili. For some people, it might be a bit too thin, but for some others, it's perfect. If this were in a bowl, this could be a good dunking chili if you had. See, if I got one of the extra tortillas, I could be dunking it in there. And when I go to eat the other pouch of this, I might do that. I don't know. It just depends on what I feel like and what I happen to have on me when I do go to eat it. I definitely got to get me some more of this. That abuelita cocoa is also great to make a mocha with. When I was camping with other YouTubers last November, that's what I did. I took a packet of the abuelita and some instant coffee and combined them together to make a mocha. And it was the G7. I had a packet of the G7 3-in-1 coffee that I love, and the abuelita cocoa. That is an awesome combination. Yeah, I wouldn't go any more with the water on that orange drink mix. I almost max out with about 13 ounces of water in my drinking jar. This granola bar is so soft that when I lay it like this, it's actually bending. But I'm okay with that. Shows it's soft. This is one of those that's chewy, so it's easy to eat. Definitely going back for more of this chili. Whoever at Chef 5 Minute Meals who came up with this particular recipe for the chili, they did good. Dipping the granola bar in the chili? That's a different twist. Let's see how it goes. The sweetness covers up the chili taste. It's too much sweetness for my liking for doing that. And others may like doing that. That's just not something I would do unless I absolutely had to. Now, dunking the granola bar in the cocoa that works. You get that extra bit of sweetness and the cinnamon from the cocoa going into the granola bar. It's the orange creamsicle dessert beverage powder, but I used very little water. In fact, probably too much water for what I wanted to do. My intention was to try to make this into a pudding. Let's see how this works. That concentrates the orange flavor. You still get the grittiness from some of the ingredients. But it's still very good. And it seemed to mix up pretty well otherwise. It's a lot sweeter when you do it that way. And then you take a drink of the orange drink, the tartness comes out more. Yeah, it can. And I was kind of going for that. I wanted to see where I could concentrate, what it would be like to concentrate the flavor. And I actually like it that way. When you mix it as a drink with the amount of water that it originally calls for, you don't get a whole lot of that orange flavor. You get the cream flavor, but after a while you have to keep mixing it because it does tend to separate. But when you turn it into a pudding, which is what I was going for, to me it works. There's Booger Butt and Booger Butt in the house. Dave, at least. Hope LJ is doing okay, enjoying his summer. This is the final meal, the chili. And as I just showed, that orange creamsicle drink mix, I used less water with the attempt to try to turn it into a pudding. You could also use it as a sauce if you wanted to pour it over some other kind of a cake. And then this is Abuelita Mexican hot cocoa mix, which has cinnamon in it. And then this is that Minotaur orange breakfast drink. Again, I did not use a full amount of water, just enough to fill the drinking jar, and that's about 13 ounces. And this is the same peanut butter granola bar as in the previous two meals, and the same whole wheat tortilla with the apple grape jelly blend. This chili is really good. It's spicy, but not too spicy. So anyone who can handle a mild chili taste would enjoy it. This is definitely an improvement over the U.S. MRE chilies. The beans are soft, but they're not so soft that they dissolve in your mouth. This is the last supper of this particular one. Because the entrees repeat themselves. So basically, if you were in a disaster situation and some aid organization was giving these out, and this is all the food you had, you have the apple, you have the crunchy granola cereal that has been in the Chef 5-minute meals in the past. That particular one has stayed the same. I ate 3 of those during Ramadan as part of my breakfast when I was eating my breakfast before first light, before I would begin my fasting for the day. And the ones out of this, see, Tuesday is a recommended fasting day for us before the next Eid holiday. It's called Arafah. And so I will be eating those pouches of that granola cereal as part of my pre-first light breakfast for that day. And we will have dinner at the mosque, so I will be helping to prepare that. In fact, I've already done some advanced prep. I made a tomato sauce with some tomatoes that were in our freezer that I'd thawed out. I took my own herbs, have put together a blend of my dried herbs, and I took them, plus some of the spices that were already there, to make the tomato sauce. And then there was a container of cottage cheese and some smaller cans of mixed fruit. I put that together. So that is 2 things that are done. There was supposed to be some chicken that some of us could go there and cut up into smaller pieces, but that had not showed up yet. So I'm hoping that tomorrow, after I'm done with the dentist, I'm going to my dentist to have a broken tooth worked on. And I will probably just go to the Moss straight from there if the chicken is there, and I can go ahead and start cutting some of that up in smaller pieces. It is supposed to be thigh meat off the bone. So all that would be necessary is just cut it up into smaller pieces, so that it would cook faster and mix with the sauce easier. Yeah. And during the summer, when Ramadan is in this time of the year, on the longest days, I was getting out of bed at like 2:45. Another thing about being in a prison or jail, when a Muslim is fasting during Ramadan, that facility is supposed to allow that because it is considered a permissible religious practice. And so if say if I'm in the jail and it's during Ramadan, and I tell them in advance that I will be fasting from before first light till just after sunset, I'm supposed to have some food before then. And then if I'm not eating with the rest of the prisoners, if a guard wants to write me up, they can't, for not taking the meal at the usual time, they can't do that. You cannot be penalized for that. If it was any time outside of Ramadan, fasting is just an extra thing you can do. Just like giving a charity at any time is slightly different than giving what's called the obligatory charity if you have sufficient wealth to do that. And those people who are in Mecca and Saudi Arabia at this time, they have already started their the Hajj, which is for those who are able to do so once in their lifetime. It is a religious requirement. But if you cannot afford it or something else impedes your travel, like when the pandemic was going on, it was canceled. Not even locals who actually live in or around Mecca were going to that mosque that has the Kaaba in the middle of it. Yeah, what they do when Ramadan is in the middle of winter, if there is no sunlight or very, very little daylight, what they do is they select their timings for starting and ending their fast from a southern location that is not all that far away, but has close to normal daylight cycles. For instance, someone who lives up in North Pole, Alaska, might go with one of the towns that are along the southern border. There is Sharon in a house. Good day. It is Monday morning there on his side of the planet. They say like Juneau or farther south in Alaska. Same with people in Norway or in northern Canada or anywhere above a certain parallel. That's what they would do for figuring their how much time they would fast when they start and end it. And then for the 5 daily prayer times, it may be based on that, or they just may split it. I'm not sure how that would work way up there. I would have to contact a Muslim who lives that far north about how they would do it up there. But back to the Hajj. Those who are there performing the Hajj rituals, there is a time where they would slaughter an animal that they would acquire locally, or if they cannot physically do it, they would have someone do it for them. And then the meat, after the animal has been butchered, would be divided up into 3 packages, so to speak. One for the person who slaughters it or has it slaughtered for them. One portion for their relatives, if they, especially if they're local. And then the other portion to be given to the poor. But if you do not have the ability to physically do it, or say someone like me, I can't do it. But what I was able to do one year is I gave someone $50 to send overseas to a charity that does these slaughters and gives the meat to local poor people in that area. And I have been given meat from someone who would do it up here. Yeah, a couple of times I've gotten some lamb or goat meat that way. But a lot of people around here will just pay to have it done in another country where there's a lot more poor people who could use the meat more than they could up here. And that's what a lot of people do who are in Saudi Arabia. They will just, if they are not from there, they would give all of the meat to organizations that will give it to poor people. Wow, Dave, that is nuts. Well, Smitty, I do like some pasta salads. It just depends on the ingredients and the pasta, whether it was cooked right or not. And there are some decent commercially produced pasta salads that you get from grocery stores, and then some not so much, but homemade is always better. Get the focus back. Yeah, potato salad. A store down here, the Hy-Vee store chain, has sometimes sold 3 different potato salad recipes. There's a German version, there's what they call the traditional version, and then a mustard version. And I happen to like all 3 of those. But again, homemade is best. I wouldn't be surprised if the Amish potato salad may be slightly related to the German recipe that I've had before. Oh wow, Dave, so some nuthead had to pay your court costs? That's pretty good when you can get that to happen. Now, we actually do have a law, or at least a regulation here in the state of Iowa, that no prison or jail can serve any pork products. It all has to be chicken or beef or any other meat other than pork. Because, you never know when you're going to have a Jew or a Muslim being locked up. And if they choose not to eat a meat because they're not sure what it is, if they don't know that particular rule or regulation, they still might be suspicious. I know I would be unless I knew that rule in advance. Maybe if bacon was served, it's either beef bacon or turkey bacon. Are you referring to spicy? Are you referring to this? I wouldn't necessarily call it a new food invention, just reducing a drink into an actual dessert. But I still could have gone with a little less water. James Ortiz in the house, thanks for dropping in. This is that creamsicle dessert drink, but reduced because I didn't use a full amount of water. So the flavor is concentrated and it's closer to a pudding. Not quite what I had hoped for, but I decided that I was going to have a little fun with it anyway. This is the last meal for this monstrosity. So this is that orange drink from that Minotaur ration that I opened up last week. And this creamsicle powder also came from that. So I'm doubling up on the orange. Again, this is not at the usual strength, 13 ounces of water, give or take a milliliter or 3. Again, this kit had no drink options of any kind. This is that same peanut butter granola bar, that big one. And then my hot drink for tonight is the last packet of the Abuelita Mexican hot cocoa with cinnamon in it. I decided to pull that out tonight. I need to buy some more. I need to get a good load of it stocked up so I can take it on camping trips or just to have it around here. Get that focus back. Oh, yeah, gnocchi is very good. I've never had stuffed gnocchi. I'm sure they would have to be made bigger in order to accommodate the filling. Or you would have maybe enough filling to equal the tip of a baby's thumb. Yeah, James, before you got in, I was talking about the coming Eid al-Adha holiday, and that Tuesday is the Arafah day. And for those who are performing the Hajj in Mecca, that's the day they will slaughter an animal. And then if you're not local, the pilgrim would give their meat to a charity that gives to the poor. And then in other countries, if you have a lot of poor people, then that meat would be divided three ways. You know, one portion for the person who does the slaughter or has it done for them, another portion for family, and then another portion for charity to give to someone who does not have any meat, who cannot afford it. Now, if you're not able to do it, say if you're not in Mecca doing the Hajj, if you're not able to do a slaughter, for instance, I physically can't do it. Someone would have to do it for me, and I don't have the money to pay someone to do it. But what I did do in the past is I gave some money to a person who sent it along with money that they had contributed to a charity who would have it done in another country. Say like, say Bangladesh, for example. A poor Muslim in Bangladesh would get meat that was paid for by someone here in the US or Canada or, you know, some other country where more people are wealthy enough to be able to have it done on their behalf in another country. Another thing that people will do is they will join up with others. And then someone would slaughter a whole cow. And then split the meat up, say, 7 ways. Or 7 people go in on a cow together. Then they would split that up 7 ways, and then they would in turn split it up again. You know, a portion goes to poor people, a portion to individual families, and then a portion for, you know, each person who went in together to have that cow slaughtered. 2 or 3 people might do that when they want to slaughter a sheep or a goat. Obviously, being a smaller animal, you don't have as much meat to divide up. But that's typically how that's done. But if you're not in Mecca performing Hajj, if you just cannot do that slaughter, then there's no problem with that. Then other individuals may just slaughter a chicken or a turkey if they have the means to do that. And as I said before, sometimes I have been given meat when someone else does one of these slaughters. Some call it a sacrifice, but not in the sense of what Jews of the Old Testament would consider a sacrifice when they slaughter an animal. I mean, it's not that God needs it. It's that it's something to do to give to others, in addition to what you would have to have a meal on the Eid day. But there were a couple of times in the past that someone has given me some meat from an animal that they had slaughtered or had someone do it for them. So Wednesday happens to be the Eid holiday. So I will go to the location of the Eid prayer, and then I have a Transit Rider Advisory Committee meeting at noon on that same day, so I will just go attend that. And I will have lunch there because lunch is provided for those who attend a meeting in person. And then next Sunday, what I'm thinking about doing is I have another one of these Minotaur Arctic field rations. It has a lamb main in it. I think I'm going to pull that one out as kind of a special meal, just like I did on the first Sunday after Ramadan. I had a ration that had a lamb main in it, so I'm going to do that again. And it's one I don't think I've had before. At least when I looked at it, I did not recognize the other ingredients as ones that I've had. When I had another one of these Minotaur Arctic field rations that had a lamb main, like a lamb stew or something like that. This one is slightly different. Oh, my chat just froze for a second. I just saw that super chat from LC. Thanks for dropping in, saying hi. Yeah, LC, the chili was pretty darn good. And then I did an experiment with that creamsicle drink powder that I had pulled out from the ration I did last week. I decided to attempt a pudding, but I think I used a little too much water, but it still concentrated the flavor as I hoped it would. It's actually a little bit less gritty than it was since it's been sitting for a while. And I've been mixing it every few minutes. But this really concentrates the orange flavor. I'd probably, maybe not quite half the amount, because this normally calls for 500 mils of water. I maybe use like a third of that amount. Yeah, this really concentrates the orange flavor, and I like that. And then my cold drink is that orange breakfast drink that is very much like Tang. Then I use a little less water to mix this, so it will concentrate the flavor a little bit more. And I happen to like it at this strength. I used about 13 ounces, which is about the capacity of this drinking jar. And then the hot drink option was Mexican hot cocoa with cinnamon in it. It's my last packet, so I gotta get me some more. No, I saw it. My chat had froze, and I went to flick up, and it really shot down, because, the comments were just not showing up. And I saw the super chat as I was scrolling down. So I did paraphrase it. Little apple jelly. That fell out of the tortilla. And I was saying to the others that next Sunday I will be pulling out my last one of these type boxes that I got when I got this one. It's a Minotaur Arctic field ration that has a lamb main. So because it will be a few days after the Eid holiday for Eid al-Adha, which is the second major holiday for Muslims, which coincides with those who are in Mecca in Saudi Arabia performing the Hajj. So I will pull out that Arctic field ration that has a lamb component, one that I had not had before. So I'm looking forward to digging into that one. But so I'm down to my creamsicle almost pudding. A couple of bits didn't quite mix up, but that's okay. But I really like this concentrated orange flavor. So Tuesday night, we will be having a dinner at the mosque, and I have already done some advanced prep for that. In fact, I did it Friday. I ate my lunch there, and then I made a pot of tomato sauce to use on the chicken that I'm hoping will be there tomorrow. If not today, it was actually supposed to be brought in Friday, but someone forgot. Tomorrow morning at 11:30, I have a dentist appointment to work on a tooth that broke about a week and a half ago. So I was there for cleaning last week. So I'm going back again tomorrow morning. And instead of trying to just put filling material on it, the dentist is going to crown it. So hopefully that will last longer. It's either that or get a bridge. Which would be a lot more expensive. Well, they're both going to be expensive, but they have a payment option where you make monthly payments over time. As much as I don't like the idea of going into debt, when it comes to things like this, I will do it. And this dental clinic that I go to is very, very handy. And they do very good work. And if something goes wrong, they will take care of it. It just stinks that my insurance doesn't cover the whole cost of all the dental work that I have done. They'll cover cleanings, some fillings, and some extractions, but anything like a crown or a bridge or dentures or implants or anything like that, the insurance will not cover all of that. But at least they're willing to work with their patients on payment plans. If I didn't have this dental insurance, I wouldn't be seeing a dentist at all. And for a while, I was trying to get some dental coverage, but I was being denied for everything. I was being denied coverage for an initial exam or for a cleaning. And it was the same when I was trying to get vision coverage before some things changed, where they would not cover the vision insurance, or the what I could find, what so-called insurance would not cover an exam. And for the type of issue that I have, they wouldn't do squat. I mean, what I have only covers the cost of a frame for glasses, but then they cap it at $100. They will not cover the cost of lenses, and because mine are a very complex shape, it definitely will not cover that. And the only reason why I was able to get the current pair of glasses I have had for several years is because someone popped for that coverage, to pay for what the insurance would not. I paid for the doctor visit, or I paid the copay for the eye doctor visit. And someone just tried to call me, but I declined the call. I'll call that person back in a bit. It's someone who will be talking to me about our meal at the mosque and whether or not the chicken is there. So I definitely want to talk to her as soon as I'm done with this stream. So I'm hoping that maybe I can go there tomorrow after my dental appointment and start working on that chicken. So it can be, it just has to be cooked on Tuesday. I'm just finishing this off. Yeah, if I had another one of these creamsicle drink mixes, I would do this again. But maybe even less water. And this consistency would make a great sauce over a cake. or maybe over top of vanilla ice cream. I think that's all I'm going to get out of that. Got my chat froze again. Let's see what I missed. King Poobah is in the house. I don't know why my chat just froze. I was not seeing the comments popped up, and I have it on live chat, so apparently other people are having issues with their chat not showing up. But the Chef 5-Minute Meals so chef5minutemeals.com. Then there's also a phone number. So actually two phone numbers. The first one is a toll-free, and then the other one is a number that if you call it, it would go against your as a charge on your phone bill, depending on whether it's minutes on cell phone or time on a landline or cable phone. But this is one of their newer kits. But again, these do not have any kind of a drink option. And so there are only 3 different entrees, and they repeat themselves. So the cereal is the same for all 3 days. 1 of the giant granola bars for all 3 days. 2 tortillas per day. And then 1 packet of the grape apple jelly blend per day. And that was what was in here. And this is inside of a box that was inside this bag. Before I cut this bag open, it did have a carry handle, but once you cut it open, you lose that. And there was no zip seal, so you could not reclose it. And the box inside was flimsy, so I just stored the components that I wanted to use again. I just use one of these boxes just as a way to organize. So I pulled stuff out of my stash, like this orange drink. It's very much like Tang, although not quite. It doesn't quite have the same artificial flavor as a Tang does, but it looks like it. And then my foreign emery mug has Mexican cocoa called abuelita, which means little grandmother. And it has cinnamon in it. And this is my last packet of this. I found this originally at Walmart, so I can either get this there or I can go to a Mexican grocery store and possibly buy it. I do want to get some more of this. This stuff is awesome. That Chef 5-Minute Meals has been working on some new stuff, some new meal kits and entrees. So yeah, the original Tang, which you can still go into a store and buy, was the original astronaut drink because it was an easy way to supplement vitamin C. And I have a couple of containers of it stored up among other powder drink mixes because I like to have a variety. So in the event that I have to drink treated water, that I've had to use my water purification tablets, or I've had to bleach it, or use some other chemical means to render suspect water drinkable. And if it doesn't quite taste just like plain water out of a tap or out of a spring that has, when you're at the spring source, then you may want something to cover up that taste. And so having a whole bunch of different drink mixes, or say coffee or tea, anything like that that you can use to mix with that water to make it more palatable. Yeah, that's a good thing. Plus, you can always have things like this when you're camping or you're doing a long distance hike and you want to have something in your water that will give you a little bit of extra energy, or you want an electrolyte mix in your water. I have a bunch of those stored up too. I have the bulk powder, and then I have the individual packets that I could empty right into a bottle. Yeah, it is. It's just plain stupid that the food has, the meats have already processed, and they've either, been cooked, wet packed and sealed, or it's been freeze dried or dehydrated, so that there should be no issues. Sometimes it can be hit or miss. Like when I opened up that package that had those tactical food pack rations in it, those did not get touched by customs. The bags were sealed as they were originally packed. There was no cut in them, nothing taken out. Even the zip seal on it was left alone. There was a note in the box about regulations, but there was nothing in there stating that anything was removed from the package. But 2 other times when I tried to order a particular French ration menu, all the meat items got taken out. And some people have had non-meat items taken out by customs, such as a drink mix or a protein bar. Why they do that, I don't know, but it was like, were they extra hungry, extra thirsty, or what were they really up to? it makes me wonder what they're really up to when they're doing that. And of course, when I got that package from a Polish ration reviewer, his channel name is Delicious. He also has a channel that he does in Polish. I'm subscribed to it even though I don't know enough Polski. But he sent me a package, and although the can was dented, it was a military group ration food can. It was a vegetable cabbage rolls, and then there was a can of a stewed lamb tushonka, which it's a Russian style stewed meat with a lot of its own fat in there. And then he sent me a bag of beef jerky that he had made himself. And Old Smoky has also gotten that beef jerky. And that was really, really good jerky. Yeah. Yeah, it can be hit or miss. Sometimes I get rations in and they're left alone. And then at other times, they get raided. And they're not always careful when they're raiding a package. They may destroy other things in the process, as if keeping a packet of drink powder intact was somehow dangerous, or keeping a chocolate bar or a protein bar intact would be dangerous. So they just don't give a flip when they're opening packages sometimes. And if you buy a ration on eBay, sometimes the seller may label it, in a different way. That's all I will say. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, the last Polish ration that I bought off eBay was not what I had paid for, and the seller did not respond to my messages about the wrong item being sent, but the package was not rated. But that seller did send an additional entree. It was from a French ration. That one contains pork, so that one got passed on to someone else, since I don't eat pork. But yeah, probably they probably did use a butter knife. But I was able to enjoy all of the food from that particular ration, just like I will those tactical food packs, which were made in Estonia. They did not come from there. They were shipped from a different country. Yeah, but they were made in Estonia. So I'm very happy that those are left alone. Yeah, King Poobah is the husband of Wide Family Farm. So they each have their own channels, but he shows up on her channel. Now, there's a video that I watched earlier today about a garden update. They had been gone for a while, and so he was in the garden when she was showing the different plants and what they're looking like. And King Poobah has a chili for his channel logo because he happens to be one of those chili heads. He likes to have his hot peppers. So they have a variety of hot peppers in their garden. Oops, sorry about that. I keep bumping the dang foam out. He's a kindred, so to speak, to another chili head who has a channel named Operation Capsaicin. Nope. That is not a Thai name at all. It's, well, the Poo is reference to the White Family Farm membership, channel membership club, for lack of a better word, known as the Poop Troop. Yeah, those bugs are a real nuisance, as they're showing aphids and other bugs. So they got some trespassers to evict. So that's what they've been doing all day. And are probably still at it, even though it's getting dark. It'll almost be 8:45 Central, so it's already almost 9:45 Eastern. Yep. It's kind of a take on both of those. Yep, and then you get up tomorrow and do it all over again, maybe something else. But they were attending the food security summit where presenters were doing things like canning, other food preserving, heirloom seeds, and anything related to being as food secure as possible. You know, making sure that you have a stable food supply that can see through a major issue, major occurrence. If they didn't have their little farm, then they would have to be spending a lot of money in grocery stores. Instead of having the variety of fruits and veggies that they have, because they have chickens and ducks and turkeys. They can get eggs. And if they need some meat, well, they got it right there. Yeah, yeah, we could all learn from how they do things. I'm not close enough to an Amish community here in Des Moines. The closest that I could come would be if I go to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings and I see an Amish family setting up their bakery booths selling their breads and pies and cakes and a few other things that they may bring with them. So that would be the closest I could get. But they are probably a couple of counties away. I think it would be the closest Amish community. Maybe once in a great while I might see some Amish people shopping in a Walmart. Where they get stuff that they can't get from others in their community. They may get at Walmart, and they have a driver bring them into town. Yeah, that's another way to preserve your own meat other than canning or dehydrating or freeze drying if you have a freeze dryer is smoking it. That smoked meat is so delicious. I have a stovetop smoker. Yeah, Elsie, I tried that last year, but something came up out of that pot that was not Brussels sprout. And I'm pretty sure that plant requires a whole lot more sun than than I get. So that was a fail. I'm not going to try that one again. Yeah, if they're if they're steamed or just I would not eat them boiled. It would have to be either steamed or sautéed or fried. I would eat them that way. Yeah, that might be a problem, Spicy. You would need to have at least a couple of acres or some way to feed the cow. Yeah. I'm guessing that Brussels sprouts require a lot of sun. Yeah, that might be an important tip to know if you're going to try that again. Oh, I just had a brief disconnect. I don't know if this is a cue that I need to get off of here or just a slight signal break. That could explain why my chat would freeze, or I would have issues watching another video or a stream that it would freeze or get a bit choppy. Well, there is such thing as a bull shark, or a bullhead is a type of catfish. So there you go, Spicy. Bullhead catfish or a bull shark. Well, I think I'm probably going to go ahead and get off of here too, because I need to make that phone call. Before it gets too late. So anyway, thanks all of you for hanging out with me tonight. Next Sunday it will be a lamb dinner, since it will be a few days after the second Eid holiday. Well, that should be a good one. And again, thanks to LC for dropping that super chat earlier. That's much appreciated. So I will see you next month. Anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.